Hey Libra, Libra rising. Let's take a look at how the astrology of May 2025 will be impacting your zodiac. So, May the 4th, Pluto goes retrograde. And I know that kind of like stresses people out, like Pluto retrograde. Listen, it's just a normal part of life and how the transits impact our zodiacs, okay? It's nothing to stress about. It's just normal, embrace it. So here's the thing about Pluto going retrograde. It's going to go retrograde on May the 4th until October the 13th, and it will be impacting your fifth house. So this is where you can do a lot of like inner child healing, spiritual healing when it comes to what makes you happy, what brings you joy in life, when it comes to self-expression, creativity, leisure, pleasure, even relationships to some extent. This could impact. Pluto going retrograde is diving into the shadows, diving into your underworld, diving into the unconscious, and really delving deep into, yourself and your emotions, and even into like fears or triggers. It's about transformation, and it's impacting your fifth house. So there could be a lot of emphasis here on inner child work, joy, happiness, what is kind of blocking you or cutting you off from joy and happiness, self-expression, channeling the more deeper, darker parts of self and expression. I kind of think of like dark feminine energy with this energy of Pluto being in the fifth house. So that's where a lot of the focus can be. It won't impact everyone. It really depends on your chart if you have anything in the fifth house or in the early degrees of the fixed signs such as Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio, 0 to 4 degrees in Aquarius. But nonetheless, this is a great time for spiritual transformation. May the 10th, Mercury enters Taurus. Mercury will be moving into your 8th house. Now, Mercury in Taurus is very calm, collective, and grounded. However, when it's in the 8th house, it's so deep and intense, and it's ready to dive into the shadows and the underworld because that's the 8th house. However, there can be a lot of back and forth regarding shared finances, resources, intimacy, and deep spiritual transformation, learning about mysticism and, ancient esoteric philosophies or spiritual practices. This can be a very deep, intense time, especially because as soon as Mercury enters Taurus, it will be impacting Pluto and Mars. It will be in a difficult aspect with both of them. So there could be some triggers or ego battles or power struggles. That's something to be mindful of. And if that does occur, well, that gives you an opportunity to grow and learn and transform. Let's get a little more intense and get into May the 12th, because that's when we have a full moon in Scorpio. And for you, the full moon in Scorpio is going to be impacting your 12th and 6th house axis. So the sun will be in Taurus, conjunct Uranus in your 6th house of work, everyday life, lifestyle, routine, habits, health, and wellness, and the 12th house of the subconscious, things that are hidden, things that are very magical, mystical. This is the area that rules over creativity, spirituality, dreams, healing, the divine, the universe. This is a non-physical realm. This is also where karma can exist, and this could be a time where you do some deep shadow work, or you're aware of your karma, you're aware of what needs to be released, you're aware of what needs to be healed and transformed. Full moons give us an opportunity to break free, to purge, to detox, to release, to let go, for a new beginning to occur, to make room for what we need in our life. So a huge spiritual cleanse can occur. Now, with the full moon in Scorpio opposite the sun and Uranus in Taurus, there could be a lot of emotions going up and down. There could be dramatic, drastic changes, unpredictability, things you weren't expecting can occur. It can be a very deep emotional time, which, gives us the opportunity to do deep emotional healing. And this is not only just connected to the 12th house, but your 6th house as well. So could also impact work, lifestyle, and how you feel, mind, body, soul, and spirit. What needs to be released, what needs to change forms in order for you to balance both of these life areas out, okay? Now, with the full moon in Scorpio, it's going to also be conjunct Juno. Juno is known as the goddess of commitment and marriage. So this could also be a karmic time for relationships. Something comes into fruition in a relationship, or something changes, shifts, or you do some deep spiritual healing. You know, it could be an ending or a beginning. It could be a transformation. It really depends on your chart and the journey you're currently are at. So this is going to be a very intense, emotional, intuitive, psychic time where there could be a lot of spiritual healing, cleansing, and transformation that occurs. Now I'm going to get into Saturn, because on May the 24th, Saturn enters Aries, and it's going to be impacting your 7th house. Okay, now you're one of the zodiacs that has been going through so many relationship stuff, I mean, throughout the last couple of years, and it seems to just continue and continue and continue. And I've mentioned this a couple of times, you know, you're ruled by Venus, so your life revolves around love and relationships and partnerships and harmony. I mean, that is one of the main focuses of your life, being a Libra or a Libra rising or a Libra dominant. So with Saturn entering Aries, it's going to impact your 7th house, which can make you feel like there's some limitations or blocks in this area of life. You may not be able to feel like your best self, because, you know, you're reminded of kind of like the more heavier aspects of a relationship, or the more serious aspects of relationships, such as, you know, the responsibilities, the duty, the commitment, you know, where accountability needs to occur. Some of those themes can come up, whether it's, you know, based on just you and things you need to work out on, or, you know, the person you're in a relationship with. This could bring a lot of karmic situations to the forefront. So it's not the most, you know, exciting transit. It does bring a lot of seriousness, but it's needed to move forward. It's needed to elevate, to evolve, to learn. So, you know, this is a time where this area of life can feel very serious, but there's a lot of karmic work that is required with Saturn in the 7th house. And I'll touch up more on this when we talk about the new moon in Gemini, because there's also a lot of Gemini energy occurring. May the 20th, the sun enters Gemini. May the 25th, Mercury enters Gemini. So this Gemini energy is occurring in your 9th house. We also have Jupiter there, and we're going to have the new moon in Gemini on May the 26th. So the 9th house rules over learning, the mind, higher education, higher learning, philosophies, researching. This is also the area of life that rules over travel, foreign places, cultures. So this is going to be a very action-packed area of life. There could be a lot of travel. There could be a lot of movement, a lot of excitement, a lot of new experiences, a lot of adventure. This is like a vacation. This is going on, you know, a new adventure. You can learn so much and really, really expand your mind. You're probably going to be very social, network a lot, meet new people, communicate. Like communication is going to be key. So a lot of exciting energy in the 9th house. With a new moon in Gemini, it is a positive energy. It is a positive new moon. So there could be a new beginning, a new cycle. This could be a time where you kind of like go out on a vacation, or something major happens regarding learning or researching, or a project that requires like a lot of communication, or the mind and research, or something regarding travel or foreign places. This could be like something new that occurs in this area of life with a new moon in Gemini. Something to be mindful of is Saturn. Saturn will be in a conjunction with Neptune in the 7th house. Although there's some excitement, there could also be a realization of your limitations. And with Saturn and Neptune, you know, there's a lot of peeling away the false layers, releasing a lot of those illusions, being left with nothing but the raw truth, learning about where you've been romanticizing other people or relationships, really understanding where you've been toxic positive, especially regarding relationships and other people. And that could be a little bit difficult to comprehend, or come to, I guess, you know, take accountability of, actually, you know what, I have been romanticizing this person, or I have been toxic positive about this relationship. That could be a difficult pill to swallow, because, you know, when we're left with just the truth, and the truth is not what we like, it's not the most easiest, but it's needed so that, you know, you can grow and evolve, and that you can be in a mature, committed, devoted relationship, you know, instead of being in relationships that are deceitful, or, you know, there's a lot of romanticizing the toxicity. You know, it's really going to wake you up in relationships and really push you to do a lot of that soul work, or relationship work, so that you can be in a place in your life where you attract somebody that is very Saturnian, in the sense of somebody who's committed, devoted, responsible, very mature, and shows up and is there. That is Saturn. That is a high manifestation of Saturn, the wise one, wisdom, someone who's responsible. And in order to attract that into your life, you got to embody it in a way, right? So that's the thing with the new moon in Gemini. But other than that, there's a lot of positivity. And I hope this month works out in your favor. I hope you have an incredible month ahead. And yeah, enjoy as much as you can and take care. And I'll speak with you soon.